welcome to today's webcast. We've got a bonus edition for you. The title of today's session is Supercharge Your Member Retention Using Member Data, and with member data being such an important thing for us. Today's broadcast is sponsored by Tuskegee, and let me let you know what you've got coming up for the next hour. So what we'll explore, we're going to look at the three pillars, and those three pillars for us today are recruitment, engagement and retention. We're going to learn how to make better use of the data you already have, and lots of us in very different situations with data, some of us having it all together and some of us not so. So let's actually look at how we can make better use of that data. We'll also understand how Dynamics 365 can allow you to better understand your members, enhance their membership experience and increase retention. So let me talk you through who we've got today as part of this presentation. So first of all, you've got myself. I'd then like to introduce obviously Kerry Fuller, who's going to be moderating today, and she'll be making sure if you've got any questions or queries, those can be answered, and I'll talk you through the housekeeping in a second. We've got Peter Norman, who is technical consultant at Tuskegee. Good morning, Peter. Hope you're okay. Thank you for joining us. We've also got Kim. Kim's the Business Development Executive at Tuskegee. So good morning, Kim. I hope you're well.
Morning, Rich.
And we've also got Fiona Harvey, who's Head of Marketing and Communication. So good morning as well, Fiona. I hope you're okay.
Good morning, Rich. Thanks for having us.
Not a problem. So I'm just going to talk everybody through some housekeeping, and then I'll hand over just for a bit of a brief intro and hello from Fiona. So you've got your options here in terms of Zoom. I'm sure you're all very proficient on how to use this. If you want to expand your window, obviously the functionalities there in view options. We've got the comments tab. So as we go through today, perhaps you've got some thoughts or some feelings you'd like to share with us. If they're informal, you may agree, you may disagree with something. Please do share your thoughts and feelings in the comments tab. Now, if you've got any questions that you'd like to pitch to our speakers, please put them in the Q&A tab. And what we'll do is we'll come back to the questions in the panel session at the end. So if you've got a question, please do pop it in the Q&A tab. And equally, even if you've not submitted a question yourself, if you just want to keep checking on that to see what questions are there, you can actually up or like it so that we can actually treat that with more kind of priority when it comes to that session. So obviously, in terms of that functionality, please do use it and interact as we go through today. But without further ado, what I'm going to do now is hand over to Fiona from Tuskegee, who's just going to do a brief introduction. So over to you, Fiona.
Thanks very much, Rich, and thanks again for having us today. Really looking forward to the next 30 minutes or so. I think for us today, we're really keen to showcase the value of the Dynamics stack, but also our IP, which we've been building. So this is a real area in terms of membership organisations. It's a real area of strategic importance for Tuskegee. So really excited to be doing that. And of course, very excited to be showing you what we think good looks like with regards to retention. You know, retention is obviously a hot topic. So really hope that everybody gets good value, and looking forward to some questions at the end, of course, as well. So without further ado, I will hand you over to Kim. She's going to just do a quick intro on Tuskegee, and then Peter will take you through sort of more in-depth details. So thanks. Over to you, Kim.
Welcome, everybody. I'm just going to do a brief introduction about Tuskegee, and then just the problem statement, and then I'll hand over to Peter. So Tuskegee was founded in 2011 and has since grown to be one of the UK's leading Microsoft Dynamics 365 and ERP consultancies. Since the start, we have worked with a number of clients in the private, public and not-for-profit sectors, which includes various memberships. As you can see there on that map, those are some of the memberships. For the second consecutive year, Tuskegee has been named a member of the prestigious Inner Circle for Microsoft Business Application Partners. Memberships in this elite group is based on achievements that places Tuskegee in the top 1% of Microsoft's business applications, a global network for partners. The Inner Circle status is a clear recognition of Tuskegee's high standard of excellence in delivering value-adding solutions. This helps organizations digitally transform, innovate, and grow. We currently have more than 100 consultants in more than 100 companies, and we have seen, even more so in the current COVID times, the importance to retain members, clients, and customers. We all know, as Rich said initially, the 3 pillars of a successful membership: recruit, engage, and then retain all of your members. But at Tuskegee, we want to add a 4th, value. How are you adding value to your membership, and how are you adding value to your members? At Tuskegee, we have seen with all of our clients the importance of using your data to drive value for your membership organizations as well as your members. You should be using your data to engage with members through personalized messages, segment your members to get messaging across, and to get members to engage. I mean, that is the ultimate goal. So preaching to the converted, we all know that there's not one size fits all method that we can use to retain your members. We need to retain members by reflecting and reacting on their needs, and in this manner then recruit members through word of mouth or segmentation or personalized messages. I want to use a case study of a medical Royal College. Unfortunately, they did not want to be named, but they have got more than 25,000 members, and they plan to increase their surplus with more than 40% over the next 5 years. They realized that with more than 15 IT applications, each holding data, and they're not all integrated, that they will have to undergo digital transformation to engage, segment, retain, and recruit members to be able to then add value. The Royal College provides a number of examinations and courses to prepare and train members with the skills they need at the beginning and throughout their careers. A research program is also supported by donations and legacies. So with all of these IT applications and all of these things going on, how do they segment and keep more than 25,000 members happy? When they engaged with Tuskegee, they asked us that the platform should be widely adoptable, it should be trusted, future-proof, out of the box. It had to generate immediate benefit through automizing administrative tasks, which then in turn free up employees to add more value to the membership organization as well as to their members. The platform had to integrate across several departments. It had to provide an easy accessible system with the latest security features, and it has to allow further configurations, be simple to scale, and meet future requirements. So with all of those requirements, how did we do this whilst helping them add value and analyze their data to retain their current members? Tuskegee configured their solution remotely using the latest Microsoft Dynamics 365 cloud-based software. Tuskegee's integrated membership management solution, which we call Connect, provides members and stakeholders with improved access to their accounts, event booking tools, and further professional development resources. So on the slide, you can see some of the added things that we've added to Connect to be able to help membership organizations. The system allows the members to handle the 30,000 phone calls annually, and they allow the membership to have a single view of each and every one of their members with secure document storing. The whole integrated membership management solution replaces all of their legacy in-house software, which had limited functionality, and it was very complex to adapt and configure in line with their services, demand, and user expectations. A segmentation of members to help make messaging and marketing emails relevant and personalized. The Royal College asked that their members should be able to access their membership and their account via a secure, easy-to-use self-service web portal. And this the members can do using either their computers or their mobile devices. The college can also securely take their member fees or payments for courses through the portal, direct debit, online payment, and bank transfers. In addition to everything that you see on the screen, we added robotic process automation. So the membership management solution can provide the Royal College with advanced data analytics. So feedback from their members can be captured, stored, analyzed using customer voice software to gain actionable insights that support planning and decision making. A machine learning algorithm that we've also designed alongside customer insights gives the membership organization the ability to predict which members are likely to churn and how they need to look at these members to be able to segment them and then reach out accordingly. The innovative software delivers significant efficiencies by streamlining and automating many manual tasks and allowing the Royal College employees to focus on higher value strategic activities. All the data is stored in the dataverse, so you've got one single source of the truth, and this data can be used to see the full end-to-end picture, which members are interacting, which members are likely to churn, which with the custom built machine learning, Tuskegee is also able to answer questions, which I'm not sure how many of the members attending this webinar are able to answer. What I want to do in this slide is imagine the center circle as your membership, with all of your members in there. You want to retain and engage with your members, but are you able to track how you recruited them? Are you able to track where you got them from? Are you able to track when you recruited more? When have you lost more members? If I use the same bubble and now put them in colors, are you able to see which of your members are likely to leave? Do you at this instant know which of your members never attend events, which members engage frequently, and which members are just happy to be a part? With our machine learning customer insight, we are able to look at all of the members, who's likely to churn, which members are in which country, which members are in which area. So if your members are businesses, we can even segment on business location, industry type, segment by membership type. Basically, the sky is the limit. As we all know, it is 8 times more expensive to recruit a member than to keep a member. So our solution adds value by showing you all over and then helping you to then segment your members and reach out accordingly. I'm now going to hand over to Peter to talk you through the solution and how you are able to use your data.
Thank you, Kim. Excellent. And I'm now going to talk about how we support those 4 pillars that Kim was talking about. Importantly, how do we get new members in the recruitment stage? How do we get members to be emotionally involved? We get that engagement from those members. How do members get worth from their membership, the perceived value that they see in that membership? And then the ultimate thing that we're going to be talking about today is how do we improve the probability for members to renew? How do we get that all-important retention? To help us understand this, and we're going to talk about 3 different people here. So I'm going to introduce you to 3 different membership personas. First of all, we've got Anna. Anna is a member and she wants to be engaged with the membership organization. She's bought it. She wants to get value from her membership and she wants to be happy, and we want her to renew a membership and she wants to renew. We've got Brian. Brian is managing the daily activities of the membership organization. That's lots of information that he's gathering, and he's supporting those 4 pillars that we talked about. And then we've got Sheena. Sheena is the manager. She's undertaking all the marketing activities to help recruit and engage members. She's giving value to those members, and her goal is to improve member retention. We're going to focus on Sheena at the end, but the key is, obviously, for today's presentation is how Brian and Sheena can utilize our solution to help improve that all-important member retention. So I'm going to go through those personas one by one, and we'll look at those personas in relation to the 4 pillars. So first of all, Anna. So Anna, the member, in the recruitment pillar, she receives an invitation. She'll click through to the portal. So Dynamics comes with a portal out of the box, and she'll use that portal to purchase her membership. She's got all the information at hand that she needs there, and she can receive then automatically a welcome pack off the back of joining the membership. In engagement, we'll send her newsletters. She will attend, she will visit the community portal and take part in forums that we've got there and the ideas boards that we've got. She'll attend the community meetings, and she will respond to the surveys that we send her. From a value perspective, we're giving her benefits of being a member, but the other value is that she can also now on the portal download and view the knowledge base that we've got there. Articles on how we can help her run with her business and help her manage whatever it is she's doing and why she's becoming a member. She will attend events and webinars, and hopefully we will send her appropriate offers and discounts and whatever else that we send her for her to be a happy member. So she will get that value. And ultimately, if we're sending her relevant communications and she's getting good value from her membership, she will renew her membership. And that's what we want. Now let's look at Brian. Brian, in the recruitment phase, he's getting sales ready leads from the marketing team. He's managing those. He's turned them into opportunities and managing a pipeline. In the system, he's using the standard sales application. He's tracking the communications with those potential members, and the members who are engaging and becoming a member, people who are becoming a member, he will onboard those members and record their interests so that he knows what it is they're hoping to get out of their membership. In the engagement phase, he is mediating the forums and the ideas boards, so they're not static. He can actually engage with it and see what people are saying and actually respond. He's managing the knowledge articles, so he can see what knowledge articles are being used. He can see what people like in the knowledge articles and what they don't, and what's being downloaded. And he manages the community meetings so that he can see who's attending, who isn't, and what meetings they're interested in. From a value perspective, so Brian can engage with the, so it's the value of the member. So Brian can engage with the member on any channel that they want to. Now, it's important that we're not just emailing or voice. We've got the omni-channel experience. So here you can see an example of a chat bot where he can, Brian can engage with a member through this Dynamics omni-channel experience. He'll track the benefits of usage, so which benefits are they using and which ones aren't. He'll manage the event registrations, record all interactions with the members, and then manage their subscriptions and payments. He's using a centralized dashboard, which will give him everything that's going on in the system and hopefully help him easily manage the renewals process so that he can see who is in the renewal stage, who is actually might have lapsed their membership, whose membership is suspended, and whose has renewed. And ultimately, he gets good retention. And then finally, Sheena. Sheena is one of the most important here. So from Sheena's perspective, in the recruitment stage, she's tracking who's visiting the website. She's tracking all the emails that go out, hopefully targeted emails, who is interacting with those emails. Are people just not opening those emails? Are they opening? Are they clicking through those emails? And also, those emails are part of a journey, a customer journey. So which emails are they opening? And off the back of that, we can then do other activities in the journey. So anyone who is interacting with the emails, we can do one thing. If they're not, we can do something else. Lead scoring. So anyone who is a potential member recruit, we can give them a score based off the back of their things that they're doing to identify whether they're going to become a sales ready lead that then Brian can pick up. In the engagement side, it's important to understand those newsletters that we've sent out, which parts of those newsletters people are engaging with, which ones work. It's very easy to sit back and send out lots of newsletters, but do we actually know which of those links people are using and which ones no one's clicking through, and therefore don't include them again, so that we've actually got the insights into how people are using their emails. We've also got satisfaction scoring. So off the back of our customer insights, our customer voice surveys, that we can understand the different customer satisfaction scores, net promoter scores, and even the sentiment. That it uses artificial intelligence to understand which parts of the typed text from the user might be a positive note or a negative note or anything else. And then hopefully, off the back of the value that Sheena's doing with managing the events and webinars and targeted offers that she's sending, and the customer journey she's building, and the social engagement that she's doing through the platform, she will achieve that all-important retention. With that retention, she is doing engagement profiling, behavioral segmentation, sending out targeted marketing, and offering relevant offers. So how, though, does Sheena, so this is the part of today, handle the engagement profile and undertake behavioral segmentation. How does she achieve, when you've got those 25,000 members that that Kim talked about earlier, how can she target individuals based on whether she thinks that they're going to leave or not, or whether they're happy? How can she send out personal information? What we need to do is use all the data that we've got at hand that we've been capturing. So Brian and Anna, while engaging, and Sheena, have all been generating data. Here you can see, obviously, the people have been downloading information. They've got how long is their membership. You've got whether they're visiting the portal or not, what their interests are, all sorts of information. But there's a problem. There's lots of information, and the data is in different tables and systems, and Sheena can't see the wood for the trees. It's a problem that everyone faces in most systems, that they nowadays that you're gathering loads and loads of data. But how do you use that data to make the information that you send to your customer, your members, appropriate? What is the solution? In our world, what we say is that the solution is to organize those trees and then undertake behavioral segmentation on what's called a customer data platform. So I'm now going to take you through what a customer data platform is and how we use it to undertake behavioral segmentation. So what is a customer data platform? Customer data platform follows a process. It's a repeatable process. It's completely different to a data warehouse. And basically you go through these stages that are at the bottom of the screen here. So at the first stage, we take all of those data sources that you've got. In our world, the main data source is Dynamics, the one at the top there, but that could be any data source. It could be an Excel spreadsheets. You could have who's visited your websites. You track it on your Excel Excel spreadsheets. It could be in Word, an Access database, SharePoint. It doesn't really matter. From a customer data platform perspective, we're not forcing anyone to have to move all their data into a single place. We can read it where it is. So Microsoft have got a load of connectors. There's over 300 plus connectors which they can connect to those different data sources. And then in the unify stage, we then map and map. It's called map, match, merge, but we bring those in, we map them through to the customer profile, and then merge them into a single customer profile. So what you get at the end of that stage is that you get one profile per customer with all of the connections behind it. We then enrich that data by bringing in all the activities, so all the things that you saw happening there, who visited the website, whatever, we bring all that data in as activities. We then send that to the machine learning. So all that data that we brought in for those customers, we send it through to the machine learning profile, and that's I'm not going to talk about that bit, that's quite complex. We have specialists in that who do that work, but it's basically a churn algorithm, it's called. And off the back of that, the important thing is we got a probability. It's a probability that that person is likely to churn or not. And if it's the closer to 0, the less likely they are to churn or leave, and the closer to 1, the more likely they are to churn or leave. And then from that probability score, we can then create segments and measures. And segments then allow us to group those probabilities together. And then we can push that. We can see on the screen there, you've got a lovely dashboard of insights into your members off the back of that. So across all those data sources, we can now see aggregated data. And that's the key here, is that aggregation of the data in one place. So we're still leaving it in its original place, but we can bring it together and view it in a single place. And for Sheena, the important thing is that we can send those segmented data through to marketing. Your salespeople can see it in CRM, and we can even send it through to ad targeting if we wanted to. And what is behavioral segmentation? So off the back of that, what we get out of the back of the customer data platform is the list of customers here with all of the customer information, but a probability score at the end. And in our instance, we've segmented that into 4 segments. So we've said, who are your high value, who are your medium value, who are your low value, and who is disengaged, being not people who are not working with you at all. And this is a combination of information, not just the activities, but it takes all sorts of information into account, such as the amount they're spending, the types of membership. So the machine learning has tried to use all of the data to work out which members are likely to churn. We then have the ability to push that into Power BI, and we can, as you saw, Kim showed you those charts earlier on, that we can segment that data. So if you filter then to the people who are disengaged, you can then filter the chart, the whole dashboard, and see where those people who are disengaged, what profile they are, what types of businesses they are, what age they are if they're people. And then, because we've now segmented it, we can create a separate customer journey per segment. So this is the important bit. So we can drive different people down different journeys. And those journeys then send targeted emails. So ultimately, the people who are disengaged, we can send them a better offer. And hopefully they can, and then we'll retain. But we don't want to necessarily send that better offer to everybody, because then we won't be making any money. So that's the power here, is that it doesn't have to be offers, it could be anything you want it to be. But if you haven't got that segmentation, then how do you drive that volume email going out to the right people to help them stay? And ultimately what we want is that increased retention. So to recap slightly, we have a complete membership solution at Tuskegee. Anna was using the Microsoft Power Apps portals. So she has, originally, she used the portal to get to join the membership, but she then used the portal to engage with the membership organization. And she also has an events portal there so that she can register and monitor what events are going on. And as Kim said, she can use the portal to get through to the pay for the membership and any other services or benefits that she wants. We have Brian. Brian is using the Microsoft Dynamics platform. So we have the standard Dynamics platform functions, and we're based on the standard sales process that comes with Dynamics, and we're based on the standard case management if you wanted to use it. But what we've built is a connector called Connect, which it's an accelerator that will give you the ability on top of Dynamics to have a member directory, to manage members, to manage your subscriptions and dues, to manage the communities and who's attending, which communities and which ones aren't, and build a profile of how people are engaging with you, and ultimately to manage your membership renewals and send out automated renewal notices, and then manage the payments on the back of it. So that's Brian using the whole of the Dynamics platform. But the key one for retention is Brian's building all that data. As we said, we've got Sheena. Sheena is using customer voice to understand the sentiment of the people in the membership organization. And she is using customer insights to then, as we said, undertake all that member profiling. So customer insights is the customer data platform that we were talking about. And then she's, off the back of that, she's getting segments so that she can use the powerful email marketing to then send out targeted emails. And that, we believe, is the key. So the key for member retention is to use member profiling, using all of the data available about your members to then support targeted marketing. Kim, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Thanks, Peter, and it's always interesting and lovely to see all of these things. I just want to thank you everybody for attending. We have got, for a limited time, the opportunity for you to work with Tuskegee for a non-committal discovery and demo of the full solution. My details are on the screen. So I'll now hand over to Kerry for the Q&A.
Thanks, Kim. If everybody that wants to take part in the panel can come back on so we can see all your faces, that would be nice. You can leave the screen up if you want, or you can take that down so that we can see everybody, because it's taking up all of the screen. So if anybody wants to just turn their PowerPoint off, I think it's Peter's screen that's actually showing the PowerPoint. So if you want to remove that. Okay, so do you know what? There's a lot there for me to even unpack. There was a lot there that my mind was spinning about, especially in terms of the behavioural segmentation stuff. Richard calls me the segmentation queen because I'm slightly obsessed with segmentation, all the different ways that you can use it. And So there's one thing there that I think is quite an important thing for anybody watching. When we talk about predictive analytics, we start to panic a little bit in the membership sector because we're not very good at it and we've not really done it. Especially when we talk about AI doing it as well, that we think of robots sitting in an office typing, you know, it's like we haven't quite worked out what that means for us yet. So what I'm always eager to do is try to clarify things and make things really, really easy for people to understand. And what I was thinking of is, you know, that is the holy grail, isn't it? Is to have this kind of future prediction of what's going to happen in terms of retention. Who are we likely to get dropping off and who are we likely to get renewing? And of course, as you say, that's all based on data. That's all based on information that you've got on the system. And I was thinking, well, the first episode that you need to kind of do is look at people that previously renewed and what engagement activity they actually displayed, because that tells you what the future predictability might be. So say, for example, you look at your renewal stats for the last year and you go, hang on a minute, 80% of the people that renewed last year all came to our annual conference. So can we conclude from that the annual conference is a big value piece for us in terms of renewal? So if people haven't been to our annual conference, there's already a flag there that they might not renew. So that for me is the first piece of work, is that understanding about previous renewals. What are the trends that happened in the past that you can start to use to predict what's moving forward? Does that sound like a really simple way of getting your head around predictive behavior if you've never used it before?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, thanks very much. That's a really good understanding of it, and it's predicting. It's obviously what we can't do is predict who will leave, because that we don't know. So what we're doing is we're trying to predict who might leave, the kinds of people who might leave, because as we said, you've got all this data and all these members, and you want to be able to. You can't go into each individual member individually and say, are they likely to leave, and then go into the next one. So. And you said, you know, that 80% of the people attended the conference, but there's all this other data that people have, and that's where the problem is that you can pick up an individual thing like attended the conference and say, on a one-to-one basis, did those people or are the people who renewed, did they attend the conference? But there's all the other data, and where the customer data platform comes in is that en masse, it can take all of that data, so who attended the conference, who visited your website, who took benefit of the things that you have as a membership organization, take all of that data in one, pass it through, and come up with a simple probability score. And that is the key to this, and it's repeatable. So once you've built that engine, you can then, you know, next week press the button again, and it'll come out with all your members and what their score is now. And so, and that score is that, you know, obviously we said, it's not going to tell you who's going to leave, but it's going to tell you out of all your people, who are the people you need to focus on who might leave, and send them one message. And then who are the people who are enjoying your membership, and send them a completely different message saying, thank you for being a good member and engaging with us. And it's that segment, putting people into those buckets with that simple probability that allows us to en masse engage with our members. Hopefully,
and actually, you make the point that it's got to be dynamic, because whenever you run that predictability score, the next day it's already out of date, because if somebody's used a benefit that day after you press the button, it's already out of date. So it's got to be something that constantly is churning all that data and kicking out the right stats.
And that's the big problem with the old mechanism that people used to use to try and solve this problem, was to use what's called data warehouses. The problem with data warehouses is that you have to know in advance to be able to design what you want to get out of the back end of it. And if things change, you've got to start from scratch again. The power of the customer data platform is that the model can be tweaked, and you just press a button and it goes through it all again and comes out with a new probability. So it is repeatable, but it is amendable. Whereas data warehouses take lots of time to design and lots of money to support. And then when there's a problem, you've got to start again if you're missing a piece of data. And that's why this is the modern way of doing things, and takes away from what people used to do with data warehouses.
Okay, yes, that does make sense, because actually I do remember a couple of years ago, data warehouses was the phrase that everybody was throwing out into meetings, and everyone was going, Yeah, we need a data warehouse. We need a data warehouse. And no one knew why they were getting one or what one actually was. So it's quite nice to say, do you know what? We probably don't need that now. Let's move over to another way of doing things.
But if you do have a data warehouse, it doesn't matter, because if you already have one, you can still feed the data from the data warehouse into this model. But the model here takes away the need to have that data warehouse, and it makes it a repeatable, amendable process.
It's probably worth it if I can add into this conversation now. So if you look at the membership space, it's and we were talking about kind of the use of data. One of the big things that's been holding the membership sector back has been not a lack of data, but actually the ability to have all of that data in one centralized place. And a number of the people who are going to be logging into today, they're probably going to have perhaps legacy systems in place that were very much built to do other things. And I know from my own experience, where managing, and I'm sure Kerry's the same. There's only so many sticky plasters that you can put on before these systems either become absolute nightmares to administer. And equally, I mean, I still have kind of I still kind of have these like nightmare experiences of senior management teams kind of coming to me and saying, well, can you get me this piece of information? And then you sort of turn around and, well, and there's, oh, surely you just press a button. And unfortunately, that's not the reality for many of us. So, I mean, I'm presuming that, certainly with the functionality like behavioral segmentation, which you talked about in your presentation, some of that's actually not even possible for a lot of people right now. And it's going to take these systems, these more advanced systems, to even be able to do this. I mean, do you see, Peter, when you have, and Kim, when you have people who come to you, and they're maybe going through the actual process of getting a new system, are many of them in that camp that they're just not able to do all of these amazing new things?
Well, I think you've got several camps of people. You raised several things there, Richard, and what we're not saying is you have to have all of your data in one place, because that's the power of this process, is that you can take data from other places. So if you wanted to include your email from either Exchange or another email provider, who sent you email, that can be put in as well. It doesn't have to. Again, it was an old school thinking that you have to bring all of your data into one place, and the old CRM systems was all about bring all your data into CRM and have it all in one place. But that's not necessary now. With this common customer data platform, you can have that data in spreadsheets and Word if that's how you are. I mean, what we want, obviously, is we want you to have it all in Dynamics using the Connect platform. But if you don't, it's fine. You can use parts of the Connect platform, parts of Dynamics, and then you can build all of the data from the other data sources together into this common data platform, then expose it as customer profiles with that full activity timeline, aggregating all that data in one go, without having to force people to design massive CRM systems with all of the data in all those data warehouses that we talked about earlier. It's a completely modern way of thinking.
Peter, I think I would just add to that as well, as we're increasingly speaking to a lot more clients about, a project with a view to a Microsoft Dynamics 365 journey. So, you may be talking about one element which can expand. It is a journey, in terms of the use of the platform, for a finance, say it might be a finance solution, for example, that they're interested in. But then obviously when you're up and running on Dynamics in one area, you can then start to see actually it flows right the way through your business operations. So we're increasingly speaking to people about, a smaller project, say on the membership side, which then morphs into a lot more because people can see the value of having everything in one place. So yeah.
And you don't, and to add to that, they don't have to have all of it in one go. They can phase it in, because it's all integrated. So you can take parts of it and go on that journey.
That's the beauty about Microsoft Dynamics is you just pay for your licenses. You don't pay a monthly subscription to be able to have Connect. So you add as you know where you want to be, and as you have finances, you add to the Microsoft Dynamics platform. So if you want to start with an initial connector and then move on maybe later to start doing a portal, or maybe start with email marketing or customer insights or customer voice, for instance, you can add them as you are ready and as your organization is is being shaped or as it's being going forward. So it's very easy to just plug in the parts that works for you at the moment.
Yeah, and I think so. And I think, you know, in terms of the sort of cultural transformation of bringing in systems, you know, it is easier to do it on a sort of step-by-step pathway as well for a lot of organisations, and do it in that sort of bite-size roadmap sort of journey. So yeah, you don't have to have it all in the one place.
So we've got a good question from Craig, and what he was saying is about some of the challenges that his organisation is facing is getting some of that data to do what we were saying, understanding and tracking member behaviour. And one of the things he was saying about getting feedback, because obviously people are constantly asking everybody for feedback on, are you happy with what you've just used? Do you want this? Do you want that? And they've tried lots of different ways of getting members to give them feedback. And he's asking about suggestions for getting the feedback and the data when people are really tired of giving feedback. Now, to me, behaviour says it all. I don't need to tell you on a scale of 1 to 5 if I'm happy with it. If I've bought it, I'm probably happy with it. If I buy something else, I'm even more happy with it. So to me, it feels like the less feedback that you're relying on, and the more that you can trust in the actual data, you're not having to rely on getting feedback from members all the time. I do think people vote with their feet. If they don't renew with you, they don't want your member benefits anymore. You don't, you know, that's a very strong bit of behaviour that you can infer from that. Yes, obviously there's a piece where you want to talk to them afterwards and go, well, why didn't you renew? What was going on there? But we do seem to have this quest for constant feedback of, did you like the event? And what did you like about it? Why would you come to this? And do you want to go to this sort of event and that sort of event? And I can understand why members just think, that's not my job. My job isn't to tell you all the answers. I just want you to deliver what I want you to deliver. So I don't know whether you've got any experience of, not even necessarily membership clients, but organisations that just put some of that behaviour data in the system so that they don't have to rely on there being this sort of qualitative feedback loop, if that makes sense.
Go on, Kim, sorry.
Kerry, I want to start with an example that Peter and I spoke about earlier this week, where he said he's actually considering leaving a specific membership organisation because he feels the sort of emails that he gets, he's just another number, whereas he's part of another membership organisation where he actually feels valued. So using the data, not necessarily asking people to fill in yet another survey because there are so many going around, basically taking the data and finding out, okay, member Sarah clicked on the second link of our website. So we obviously know that she likes that more than what she liked the first link. So how are we going to use that data to send her more information like that? We know Sarah attended the second webinar of the season because it was about trees, because she's a nature lover. So sending her, getting those sort of data and finding out, okay, now all of a sudden she stopped. Why did she stop? So using your data and her historic data and what she did, which she attended, which link she clicked on to be able to keep her. Because as we know, it's very expensive to recruit somebody, but it's easier to keep them. So using all of the data to keep them, not necessarily through surveys, but through their historic click rate, through their historic renewal rate, webinars and things that they've attended. So using all of that data to then be able to work out if she's going to churn. Peter, I don't know if I took your, sorry that I took your example.
No, that's fine. I'm not going to mention the membership organisation that I'm thinking of leaving, but it's but just to add that, I think one of the things, so we as organisations, we've gone through a journey with email marketing, and at the beginning people said, oh, we can send emails to everybody, and then everyone got fed up with emails, and we realised that we can now do targeted marketing and send emails appropriately. I think people have missed the fact that they should be doing the same thing with satisfaction surveys. That actually you've got it the wrong way around. It's not the satisfaction survey that should be generating that we should then use to drive the behavioral segmentation. It's actually the other way around. We should use a behavioral segmentation and only send customer satisfaction surveys out to 1 or 2 individuals that we need to. So reduce the number, because people get fed up with emails, but we're all probably starting to get fed up with the fact that we get blanket customer satisfaction surveys. And we should use that behavioral segmentation to actually target, and you can do that with the Dynamics platform. You can use those segments to then drive who you send your satisfaction surveys out to, or come
it makes sense. I mean, one of the things that I probably ought to, I mean, if I can just add this in, is actually as well, if you think about when people provide their feedback, it can sometimes be quite a polarized activity. And there's sort of two examples that I can give you. So the first one might be, actually, if you're asking for blanket feedback, it might be that the only people who are feeding back are your super keen members, the 10% of members rather than the 90% of members. So you've got you're polarizing it on that side. But maybe on the other side of it, particularly if you've got perhaps maybe a passive membership, it might be that actually they're in the mindset, and I don't know why I'm thinking about TripAdvisor at the moment, but if you think about a lot of the content on there, the content is very much, I had an experience as a customer, I went to a hotel, I went to wherever, I went to a restaurant, and it wasn't what I thought, and it wasn't good. And actually it wasn't a great experience. And yes, I will give you my feedback because I'm not happy. Unfortunately, most members, I think when they're quite content and happy, they're just happy. They'll carry on with it. That's it. They don't want to give you feedback. And people, I mean, like me, I don't know if it's the same for you. With Amazon purchases, I'm quite happy with what I'm getting. Thank you very much. But I'm not going to spend 10 minutes giving you feedback on it. Delete. So the idea that we would ever base that behavioral, if you like, psychology on something like that, I think we're possibly in very shaky ground. I don't know what you think to that, Peter. Would you agree with that kind of take on the world?
Absolutely, and I think the key thing with this behavioural profiling is that we are we're not just looking at the number of activities either, but we're looking at, I think Kim mentioned that we're looking at the trend of the activities. So that's where the machine learning comes in. It's much easier. Anyone can look at data and say, oh, they visited our website 10 times, but if that was 12 months ago and they haven't visited since, then that's a problem. But you might think, oh, they visited 10 times, they're happy. And when the profiling comes in, it can look at the trend and which way people are going. I don't know if that helps explain part of the solution, Richard.
Yeah, I think it does, and it's a really difficult scenario for everyone to really sort of get their heads around. And I mean, another example of it at the moment, we've got loads of membership organisations kind of moving or wanting to transition from, should we say, 100% virtual events, moving to blended and then back to face-to-face events with the current situation. The natural thought for most organisations is to actually go to the members and ask them for their feedback. But again, at the moment, I think as human beings, we're predisposed to wanting to feel safe. And many of us perhaps are not quite in that headspace yet. So if you ask questions about the future and people are actually in a specific mindset, you might not get the feedback that you're expecting. So, right now it might be that, 100% virtual events, thank you very much, for later on in the year. But actually the reality of it might be that a blended approach is probably the best one. And maybe organisations need to be proactive rather than reactive to that sometimes subjective feedback. It's a real complicated one. But anyway, Kerry, I know you've got another question to ask, so I'll take up your time.
So we've got a question from Sam, which is kind of quite similar. It's about getting further information from lapsed members on the reasons for lapsing. So this is exactly what we were saying about getting feedback from people that don't want to renew anymore. We find our most common lapse reason is non-payment. Well, that doesn't tell you anything. That's like, yes, they're breathing, but that's all we know about them. Despite having late payer chases, it's not the money. I always say, when people say, we're going to put the price of the membership fee up, what are they going to do? And I say, it's never the money. It's what they get for the money. If I got a free port with my Time subscription, I wouldn't be worried about the £10 per month. So it's never about the money. It's what they're getting for the money. So there needs to be some work there on why people are lapsing. It'll be the offer. It's not going to be the money. It's going to be what they get for the offer. And the difficult bit is you've got to go back to that value proposition. And actually that kind of leads me to one of my questions, because you were talking about using behavioural segmentation, which is really all the engagement activity. That's what we're really talking about, all the engagement activity, which is going to tell you why somebody is going to renew their membership. And for me, there's something we were talking about this earlier in the week, right at the beginning of the member journey, is that value proposition piece, which is understanding why members have joined you in the first place. So if you understand why a member has actually signed up with you, you're going to be using the engagement activity to monitor that. So say, for example, when somebody signs up, they say, actually, I'm really interested in professional development. And you think, great, we'll send them all our information about courses and learning. And then a year later you go, well, they've not booked onto anything. They said they wanted learning and development, but actually looking at all that engagement activity, they haven't engaged in any of it. So that's our fault. Perhaps we weren't marketing the right things to the right person. If somebody joins because of advocacy, then the AGM is going to be far more important for them, and the campaigning work that an organisation does. So there does seem to be a piece which is about capturing on the initial bit of the recruitment journey, what is it about the value proposition that particularly got that person interested? And that will tell you what engagement activity you need to be looking at more closely when you've got perhaps 25, 30 different things about members to look at. Because there's too much data, if anything. In some membership organisations, there's actually too much, and people get caught up in the, are they following us on Twitter? That's not important. Are they coming to the annual conference? That's what's more important. So there does seem to be that bit at the start of the journey, which is asking about the value. And I think that will help with the lapsed member question. You go back to, well, actually, they're not getting the thing that they said in the beginning.
I think that's the key to answer. I think there were two questions there, but to answer both of them, well, first of all, once they've left, it's probably too late. And actually asking them to give you the information. What we're trying to say is that you should be actually tackling this while they're a member, not once they've left. Because as Kim said, it's 8 times harder to get someone back who's left than to get a new member. So that's a key. And yes, with our Connect platform, one of the things we focus on, and I did mention with Brian, is that at the point where Brian onboards a new member, he identifies what it is that is of interest to that new member. And that can be captured through the electronic membership application and through the life of the membership engaged. But that is such a crucial part to be able to understand what they wanted and what they're doing. And it's all before they leave. I think if you're focusing on why they left, it's probably too late at that point. And actually, most people probably aren't going to answer your customer satisfaction survey anyway, and they're not engaged with you, so you're not going to get the answers. So it's moving that whole thing forwards to while they're in the journey with you.
Definitely, and in terms of that, I think you're completely spot on there, Peter, because once you've made, and again, this is us getting into the minds of our members, if you like, once you've made that decision to go, it's often very difficult to actually reverse it. So if during that journey, and I mean, this is why, again, with more sophisticated approaches to membership, you're not seeing a flurry of activity just before the annual renewals process, because I mean that can sometimes seem a little bit transparent. But obviously, if those engagement touch points and those interactions can be kind of spread throughout the year, and particularly if the analytics linked to those can actually be attributed to, like Kerry says, the conference, maybe it's the newsletter, maybe it's the e-journal, maybe it's a mentoring opportunity. If there's an ability there to be able to actually measure that and to be able to score that, and particularly what we're seeing at the moment as well is, and this is only, I think, around about only between up to 15% of membership organisations are currently doing this at the moment. So not the majority aren't even in this space yet. So they'll need to do that. But the scoring of those activities, and like Kerry says, linking it to value. There's and I don't know, you might have some thoughts on this, Peter, but if we're going to be using these things to show value and to show engagement, I'm assuming that the actual measures would probably need to be weighted, maybe for certain activities that are more indicative of being engaged than maybe others. Is that the sort of approach that you take?
I'm not going to pretend to be understand all of the machine learning side of it, okay? And I don't want to. We have a whole development team who build that, and they know how that works. But my understanding is that it takes that into account. But it doesn't. You know, the old method of and lead scoring is a good example. So lead scoring, we say, right, that activity has that weight, and therefore, and you try and predict what the weighting is. The difference with the machine learning is it looks at the profiles of all the people and tries to work out those weightings for you, what's important and what isn't. So you're passing in all of the parameters, and where the artificial intelligence is coming in is in that understanding the differences between the different organizations and what people are doing and the trends. And there is an element in that machine learning algorithm of manual understanding of what we think is important, but it's that ability to push it through en masse. So yes, in answer to your question, Richard, definitely there is a weighting of some things are going to be more important to people than others, but Yeah, it all handled in that machine learning algorithm.
It's really clever, isn't it? I mean, certainly when you look at the sort of the final piece of the jigsaw, which is then the automation that comes off the back of actually having that understanding. I mean, I was speaking to one of our counterparts in the US, and they were estimating that, and I keep using this figure, so apologies for anybody who's heard this all before, but they reckon that if you can actually use that automation in the right way within a membership team, it's something like you can save up to 35% of time on, you know, with those automations in place. And then if you can get that 35%, and certainly from my membership geek perspective, if I could kind of put that resource into someone, for example, who's responsible for developing new member benefits or is there to actually improve the quality of the service that members are getting, you know, it actually means that if you're not able to do that, fast forward 5 years, there might be a bit of an opportunity cost there, you know, because people are still going to be doing things the old way. So it's quite exciting, you know, in terms of what's possible there. You know, and the ability for us to be able to use resource better. And is that, Kim, is that sort of thing that you're seeing with organisations that once they've got set up with this kind of thing?
It definitely is. I just first want to add to what you were saying. There's some immediate costs and benefits as well with this whole solution that we've got. So where memberships would, for instance, say if you renew early, you'll get a 20% discount. With the data, if you know your member is happy, why do you want to give them a discount? It is, I know it sounds very terrible saying it this way, but if they are happy and they are going to renew, you can use that 20% discount to maybe give it to somebody that's about to churn. So there's that immediate benefit that you can have as well. And then to get back to your other question, we've definitely seen it with quite a few of our customers where we freed up time. So the case study that I used in our webinar is one brilliant example where they are now moving some people in different roles to be able to just look at their members, which members are happy, which members are likely to churn, focusing more on analyzing their segmented customers where previously they were working in legacy systems, trying to sort out this, trying to get this member to, it was just all over the place. Whereas saving that sort of time and saving through the automation just gives you the opportunity to spend that time on focusing on value for your members and for your membership organization.
Yeah, powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much. I mean, this is the sort of subject, behavioral segmentation. We could talk about it forever because there's so many behaviors in the membership sector, so many that we all want to capture and we all want to discuss. So yeah, I think we've just dipped our toe in the water of behavioural segmentation there. But thank you very much. That was really, really interesting, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really, really good. And the fact that we're even talking about this now, I mean, this is really fantastic. When we did our last digital excellence report, it was kind of the conversation 2 years ago was that this is something that membership organisations will be doing in the future. The idea that 2 years on, we're actually now talking about real life examples of where that benefit can actually be through this type of segmentation and use of data. I mean, it really is fantastic, and particularly over the last year, I think we fast forwarded quicker in the past 12 months than we have over the past 3 to 5 years within the membership space. As you know, certainly as a sector, we're not known for our fleet of foot, shall I say? But you know, so that was our hour, guys. That was really good. So we've had some fantastic presentations there, brought to life through some case studies. We've talked about very much advanced approaches to membership and having the right kit in place to be able to do that. I know that obviously today we've actually recorded the session, so our friends at Tuskegee, I'm sure they'll be able to provide you with a link to the on-demand session. And I know Peter and Kim, if you're comfortable, if you could circulate your slides as well, that would certainly be really good for our attendees so that they can actually go back and look at all of those case studies and examples of how things should be working. And that's it really for today. So I mean, the hour's gone super quick. It was actually really fantastic to spend some time talking through and looking at elements of the actual process. So a big thank you to Tuskegee for sponsoring today's session. We couldn't have done it without you. And obviously, thank you for being so open and honest with the actual insight that you've provided us with today. It's really, really useful. Thanks for everybody for attending. Fantastic audience as always, and thank you for the questions that have come in. Thank you to Kerry for moderating as usual, and it's really good. Like what I really love about these sessions is we're not just asking wooden questions and answers. What we've actually got is a real kind of a knowledge and insight into the topic, and it's just lovely really being able to actually talk out and pull out those really good like nuggets of information. So I hope you found it useful today. So without further ado, thanks for attending, guys, and we'll see you for the next edition next Tuesday. All right, take care.